Hi, readers, it's Lori, and I'm back. So, you might have been wondering what happened to me last week, and I did not come in and say, hey, this is what's happening this last week. But to be quite honest, I got sick on the Sunday before this past one, and it hit me like pretty hard overnight. I had an infection, and I went to urgent care and they put me on some antibiotics. I had to end up getting another one. And then, of course, there's a time, period of recovery. I did not do much more than read and sleep entire week last week. I did work on Thursday and Friday a bit, but it hit me hard. So I'm back. I'm better, happy to say, and happy to talk about the October most anticipated reads. Although I feel bad that I am a little late, but I know that it's fine and everything's fine and nobody's concerned about this, but I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to start filming again this week, and I'm happy to talk about these October new releases because they're really very fun. I have 11 on my list, so just one more than my usual 10, and I had really a lot of fun. And I had actually created this list way before I got sick. So I guess that's what frustrates me about being so late getting it on, is because I had high hopes for it to go out last week and I was really excited, but I'm still excited and here it is. So sit down, get a cup of coffee, get a little bit of water, get a glass of wine, whatever is your preference, and let's start talking about the books that are coming out in October. So the first one on my list is Shadow Ticket by Thomas Pynchon. I have to tell you, this shocked me because I haven't seen anything from this author in a long, long time. This is an author I remember from my, not childhood maybe, but my teen years. I feel like my sisters and my dad read Thomas Pynchon, and he's not an author that hasn't been prolific. He definitely has been prolific, but he was born in 1937. So this guy is really still bringing it forward, and I am delighted by that. So this is anticipated to be released on October 7th, and it's set in Milwaukee in 1932, where the Great Depression is in full swing, and they've just repealed Prohibition. Al Capone is in the federal penitentiary already. So you get the sense of what the circumstances are around this time and what is sort of leading into this plot. And what's going to happen is Hicks McTaggart, I had to look at his name, a one-time strike breaker, because strikes were a major issue then, has decided to be a private investigator. And he is feeling pretty good about this until he's sent out to a case in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee. And he discovers all kinds of things are underneath this crime. So he finds himself entangled with Nazis, with Soviet agents, with British counter spies. He finds himself in Budapest, which is what made me really want to take a look at this. And whatever happens to this situation, he's worked really hard to move this case forward, and he for a long time he just doesn't see a way out of it, but eventually I'm assuming that he finds some success. So historical fiction, mystery, thriller, perhaps, lots of different characters, lots of different settings. It just sounds like, oh yes, please, I love it. And I really love this cover too, so that one is probably going to be a must read for me. I don't know if it'll be a must buy for me because we're not going to talk about book buying for a little while. Number 2 is Sharp Force by Patricia Cornwell. I don't know of anyone that is not familiar with who Patricia Cornwell is, but this is number, get ready for it, 29 in the K. Scarpetta series. It also is projected to come out on October 7th. I'm not sure if I will get to this in my lifetime. I have been ruminating over my Patricia Cornwell shelf, and of the books that I have of hers, haven't read of hers, gave up a long, long time ago, started to reread from the beginning last year or the year before. Didn't really feel compelled to keep going. So I'm not sure, but I know that she's popular and I know that a lot of people follow the Kay Scarpetta series. And I really did love the premise of this in the beginning. It might just be me, but this one is set in North Virginia, which is usually where her books are set, as far as I know. Of course, I gave up about book 5 or 6, but there is a serial killer. There's always a serial killer for Kay Scarpetta. So the serial killer's process is to turn off the victim's Wi-Fi and then attack them in their bed, and he strangles them, which a lot of serial killers do. It's been going on for 6 months when Kay Scarpetta is awakened on her birthday to discover that the slasher has struck again, and there are 2 victims this time, which is unusual, and one of them has survived. So there's possibly then a link to be able to figure out who this is and to find this person. It says this is a modern ghost story. I did enter the giveaway on this when I saw that it said modern ghost story because I felt like that was good. This is somehow related to an old psychiatric hospital, which also sounds good. And so maybe that's the issue. And then there's of course some involvement with the CIA and the White House. And I always liked that part of it, which is I think what drew me in originally to the Patricia Cornwell series, because I think, was I living in DC then? Maybe not. I don't know. But it was around that time that I was kind of working with the government. So I think that this will be great for fans of Kay Scarpetta and maybe for those who've never read anything by her. I might be a rogue and just jump right into number 29 and not worry about the rest of them on my shelf. But if I do that, it'll probably be a library borrow. Another October 7th release is, this is a title, let me just say, Enshittification, Why Everything Suddenly Got Worse and What to Do About It. This is by Cory Doctorow. This is the only nonfiction that I'm putting forward into this list, and this one does not have a lot of ratings, but people do seem to be very keen about it. So this one is about the tech world and how tech giants have lured people in with a lot of convenience and ease. You know, you can just Google all of this. Probably they're going to talk about AI too, although I'm not sure. Really, how did they all merge in some ways? Now if you post something on Instagram, since I took a 30-day hiatus from Facebook, I discovered that if I post something on Instagram, it shows up on Facebook without me even thinking about it. I'm not sure how that was happening, but it was probably a setting I had turned on, but I don't know. So I'm just not posting anything at the moment. But this one has some sharp humor and insight into the creep of what he calls enshittification that has really made the world a more difficult. I would say he's probably going to talk about how contentious we are, how people argue and say things on social media that they wouldn't say otherwise, and really just how this has created a sociological and a bit of a political nightmare in some ways, because we don't know how to be kind to each other anymore, which is one of the reasons why I left Facebook for this entire month of September. So do I think I'm going to read this one? Yeah. Do I think it's going to make me happy or feel good? I don't know. Maybe he has a solution, but for the moment, I'm just going to share it with you because I think it's something we might all need to read right now. Now we're headed into the 14th of October releases. Now, I would say again, these are expected, so there's no guarantee that this will be the day that it comes out, but this is called And Then There Was the One by Martha Waters. And there is a giveaway currently on Goodreads for this, and you have some time for this one. There are a lot of Goodreads giveaways today on some of these books, so just check it really quickly because some of them are expiring very fast. But this one has a fairly good rating, 3.93, but not a lot of people have looked at it yet. But this one is something that I really want to read as well. I'm so excited by this. Look, if the cover didn't pull me in, I don't know what else would, but it's set in the Cotswolds, which I love, in a quaint village, and Georgiana Radcliffe has accidentally become an amateur detective after helping solve 4 murders in a single year. Is this a series? I don't know. But I'm going to figure it out. It does not say that it is number something of something, so it's very possible that it's not. But it also says that she wrote the Regency Vows series, but this says it's a new historical romance set in 1930s England. So if this is a series, it's maybe book one, but they just haven't listed it that way. So what happens is the chairman of their village council turns up dead, and everyone is really thinking that he had a heart attack. But Georgia can't help but wonder if somebody else is at play here, and that is he the fifth victim of murder in her little community, right? Because all these little cozy murder mysteries all happen in these sweet little places with all these kind little people, right? But anyway, she takes her reporter friend in hand and reaches out to a London detective to try to find some assistance in trying to ascertain why this might have happened, and why this little community has become a magnet for murder is part of the synopsis. I love it. But this fancy detective really doesn't help at all. So she's going to have to find out a way to get to the bottom of this and to solve a crime. And there may be, based on the cover and something in the synopsis, there may be a relationship that brews for Georgia. So I would love that as well. So it's billed as a cozy mystery, historical fiction, historical romance, and historical mystery. So there you go, mystery thriller. It's 362 pages or 52 pages perhaps. And again, it looks like the cutest little thing. So I know I'm in trouble, you guys. I'm in big trouble this month. A surprise to me, also October 14th, was a partnership between Harlan Coben and Reese Witherspoon in co-writing a book called Gone Before Goodbye. And this is a suspense novel that combines, I guess, the Academy Award-winning actress Reese Witherspoon's interest in books and the reading that she does, but also, you know, she's probably pretty good with a story. And then, of course, Harlan Coben, who's been around writing these mysteries for a long time. So this is about Maggie McCabe, and she's having a really hard time. She's an Army combat surgeon. So that's an interesting thing that you don't necessarily see in these all the time. And she's been living on the edge, but she always likes to make a great impact and to really get things done until she can't get something done. So a series of tragedies leads to her losing her medical license, which is really horrifying for people who have been in the medical field. So she's really lost all of her passion, and her mood has got to obviously be upsetting. So she's thrown a lifeline by a former colleague, luckily, who was an elite plastic surgeon who had clientele that nobody really knew about. So it was very like hush hush for this particular guy. So it sounds like this might be a little shady, or maybe they're using some things that are a little on the edge, but nevertheless, there's an unconventional medical assistance that this guy needs. And so he asks her to take on this work with him. And then she finds the world of like the rich and famous. She's just starting to think about what is next for her life, right? Like this might be a turning point until the patient disappears. Like all of a sudden she doesn't know what happened. So she's got to figure out what happened and become a bit of a fugitive, because I think there's a threat involved in this as well. So Gone Before Goodbye, October 14th, sounds really good. I don't know if I'll get that right away. I have some Harlan Cobens on my shelf I would like to read first. So, but this one sounded really good. And I know a lot of people really love books that Reese Witherspoon puts into her reading book club or whatever it is that she calls it. But in this case, she wrote part of this with him. So that's very surprising to me, I guess. Maybe it shouldn't be, but it is. All right, the next one, you're going to say, what? Have you lost your mind? We're not ready, but I have not lost my mind. I'm just telling you, it comes out now, and you can read it whenever you'd like, or if you should decide. This is a novella. It is 1.5 in the Biedermeier series. I have not read book one, so that is a possibility, of course. It has very few ratings and reviews, but it has a 3.67, so that's not terrible. But this one... Christmas at the Women's Hotel. Yes, Christmas at the Women's Hotel. I know. So it's set in New York. I love that setting, obviously. And the Biedermeier Hotel has a lot of buzz at this time of year because they have jobs, they have all kinds of events in New York City. There's lots of things going. So for a year that might generally be kind of like, this time of the year is really very special and people just pick it up and get stuff going. And so this first character, Katherine, is trying to make amends with her siblings in Ohio. So that's her sort of main purpose. Another woman named Lucienne is going to go into business for herself to try to run a telephone order mail escort agency. Yeah, but above board, not a terrible one. And then Mrs. Mosler thinks that there's a mystery in the Biedermeier Hotel because the phone bill is huge and she doesn't understand what's happening and how this is going on. So they also discover that some thieves stole a lot of gems and they were worth $3 million from the American Museum of Natural History. And they've recently been caught, but not all the jewels have been recovered. So Patricia and Carol are going to be the ones I think that they're looking at because they're behaving really strangely. So it is a season of wonder and mystery after all, is what the synopsis says, and it looks like it might be really cute. It is 144 pages, so not a long read. I don't know. It just looks like it needs to be read. All right, the next one. Of all the horror books I could have picked, I picked King Sorrow by Joe Hill. This one comes out on the 21st of October, and if you didn't know, Joe Hill is Stephen King's son. I have not read any novels by Joe Hill at this point. I may have read a short story written by him once, but the premise of this is absolutely bonkers. It's also already at a 4.49 rating, and it only has had about 300 people that have rated it. So that is good starting. That's a definite good start. But let me just tell you all, this is weird. So Arthur Oakes loves books. He's a dreamer and he's a student at Rackham College, and he's loving the library and the buildings and the season. I think this is, again, a wintry book, so it's perfect timing for those of you who are ready for books in the snow and that kind of thing. So this is set in Maine, as most of theirs are. He's approached by a local drug dealer, and I don't know if he knows this person or not, but they convince him to steal some ancient rare books from the college library, and he does. And then he's in some big trouble, I think, or he's just feeling like horrible about this. And so he goes to some friends and he says, hey, I really need some help. And so they come up with this fantastical scheme to get him out of this space. And it has something to do with, and you're going to think, did she really just say that? It has something to do with a journal called the Crane Journal. And what it says in the synopsis is that it's bound in the skin of its author. And they're going to use the Crane Journal to summon a dragon. I know. I know. But then also, these other folks that he knows are going to bring a creature of the impossible into the world. So these are the things that are going to try to, I guess, fix everything for Arthur and what he's done. It sounds so bizarre. It is very long. It's almost 900 pages. So this is probably one that I don't know if people are talking about a whole lot. I haven't watched a lot of anticipated read videos because I don't like to borrow things, and I'd already planned mine a while before, but I don't know. I just really think this might have something to it. I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? Dark academia, dragons, thriller, fantasy. I mean, who knows? It could be fantastic. And now for something completely different. The Mitford Years, number 15, comes out. This is by Jan Karon, and this is called My Beloved. I'm not going to talk to you about a lot of what this book is about because, again, this is book 15, but it has great ratings. This is a very beloved series. I want to get back to this one as well. This might be the best time of year to do that, actually. But this is the little town of Mitford, snow on the ground, I know, Christmas vibes. Father Tim pens a list of Christmas gifts for the people that he loves. He's trying to figure out what to purchase for his wife. I don't want to spoil anything about who that is if you've not read these or how that happened, but he decides to write a personal love letter to his beloved, and he discovers then that the love letter has gone missing. So I don't know anything else about this except to say it has a really lovely cover. That blue is gorgeous. There is a Goodreads giveaway for this one as well. You have about 8 days from the day that I'm posting this to get to it. And I would really like to be a Jan Karon completist, but I don't know if that's realistic either, because again, this is book number 15 of the Mitford years, but I have 4 of them on my shelves, I think. So that's a good backlist project for me, right? Yes, I agree. All right, Wreck, Katherine Newman. Look at this cover. This one is expected to release on the 28th of October. This fall vibe is all I need. I have wanted to read Sandwich since the moment it came out. It was one of my anticipated reads. You may remember I was so excited. I got it on Kindle, unlimited, I think, but still, I got it from the library once. I never got to it. So now, do I want to read Sandwich in the middle of the fall? Probably not. Could I read Wreck? Is it a standalone? Yes, it is. And it also already has 4.25 in the rating system with about 300 people who've taken a look at it. So this is a wonderful novel, they say, filled with laughter and heart and marriage, family, and what happens when life doesn't necessarily go as planned. So I guess wreck is, someone is a wreck or somebody's had a bit of a wrecked time. This one does bring back the family from Sandwich, but I think that you can read this on its own. This one, plot-wise, the synopsis is not necessarily as detailed as Sandwich was, so I'm not perfectly sure what happens, but this one brings you back into Rocky and her family. Her name is Rocky. They live on Cape Cod, and they obviously have a beautiful home, and they have kids. And so the kids, I think, are coming home for the holiday seasons and having some time off, during that. I think one of them's in college. And then also there's an accident nearby, it says. And so while Rocky is not involved and it didn't affect them, she's somewhat, I guess, obsessed by this. But I'm going to read you the part of this that I think is the only bit of synopsis that will help you to decide if this is a good book for you to read or not. So that is, with her signature wit and wisdom, Katherine Newman explores the hidden rules of family, the heavy weight of uncertainty, and the gnarly fact that people, no matter how much you love them, are not always exactly who you want them to be. Very true. So this is literary fiction, contemporary fiction, adult, and it's a family novel, and I guess it's a bit of a saga, the family saga, but would I like to read this now and not go to Sandwich? Yes. Could you, those of you who have read Sandwich, tell me if that's a good idea? Please do, because I don't know, but I don't know why. I just couldn't get that book read. It was just like my nemesis. I almost bought it several times, and I was like, no, if you haven't picked it up, don't, why? Yeah, I'm just in a mess for sure. Okay, this one had me at the cover, but also at the title, The Devil is a Southpaw by Brandon Hobson. This one is a new author to me. It doesn't have a lot of ratings. It's almost up to 4 already, but it says it's an unforgettable novel of obsession, pride, and forgiveness, but it explores a rivalry between 2 gifted boys. It says he wrote also The Removed. I've never heard of The Removed or taken a look at it. This one just, I don't know, something about it just reached out to me. So this is about Milton and Matthew, and they're very smart. Matthew is a Cherokee artist, and he has known Milton because they were locked up in a juvenile detention center in the late 80s, but Matthew escaped. So I'm assuming Milton hasn't seen him for a really long time. And he decides to tell the story of Milton's life and their childhood. So this is a story within a story, because you know I love that. So that's why it came onto this list after I looked at it. Yes, so he's going to tell their friendship and their secrets and the nightmarish things that happened to them while they were incarcerated. And this really talks about the racial injustice and the institutionalism, the violence that occurs in institutional settings, injustices that are done to Indigenous people. It says it is visceral and swirling, and that it is ambitious, elegant, and propulsive. One of the authors that it's compared to is Gabriel Garcia Marquez, and so I have not read, but I have one or two of those, and this one seems like something that I would really enjoy, and I am wanting to read more books about Indigenous people. There you go. But this one is 352 pages, so not terribly long, and it comes out on October 28th. I hope this one is good. I really do. If any of you had an advanced reader's copy of this, please let me know what you thought, because I think that this could be a real new and wonderful book for me, and perhaps then I will want to read The Removed as well. All right, The Last Death of the Year is the last book on our list today. This is by Sophie Hannah. This is the new Hercule Poirot series number 6. So if you're not familiar with this, Sophie Hannah was given the ability by the estate of Agatha Christie to write books that are in the vein of Agatha Christie but are authored by her. That's a very big privilege, and I have listened to at least one of Sophie Hannah's, and I have several on my shelves that I have not gotten to. I think maybe I've read 2 in some form or fashion, but I don't read them in order necessarily, for sure. I have some others of hers that she's written on her own too, but this one again is book 6. Do I think I need to start with, all of them in order? No, I think I would love to just get into this one, and I think they're very different, each one. This one seems like it would be very different anyway. So this is, of course, Hercule Poirot. It is New Year's in 1932. So we're back in the 30s, and we're on another holiday that hasn't come up yet. But I love this because Inspector Catchpool goes with Hercule, and they arrive on this Greek island. So they're going to spend some time there, isolated to some degree. And they're somehow connected to this group of people who are living in this old, really rundown house, and they're having a New Year's party there. Right? Okay. So they're all going to, toast and talk and get together. And at some point, they're all going to make New Year's resolutions. Not atypical, right? We all try to do that in some form or fashion. So they're all announcing their New Year's resolutions when one of the people that are staying there says that he's going to perform, or she, the last and first death of the year. So essentially, somebody dies before midnight, somebody dies after. And maybe right at midnight. So then it becomes the last and the first death of the year. I don't know. But nevertheless, hours later, they find a resident of this home, or they find one of the people that's staying there on the terrace dead. So now you find out in the synopsis, so it's very clearly already said that Poirot had been summoned to this island, which is one of the reasons why he went, and he brought Catchpool with him. And so together they're going to figure out how this happened. But he also knows that there was a threat that was sort of being sent out before he got there. And so he wants to see if this person has something to do with, I guess, with that threat that was made. So it sounds great. It says it's cozy. I don't know that I ever thought Agatha Christie was cozy, but I mean, a lot of people do. But mystery, thriller, crime, police procedural to some degree. Hercule Poirot is a bit of a... What name would I use to describe him? He's very unique, and he's very proud of himself. So he's not my favorite, but he's my second favorite. Miss Marple will always be at the top, but I think that would be great. So I hope you found something here in this list, or more than one something that is exciting to you to look at in the month of October or in the next year. I'm sure that some of you, like me, are making your plans for the end of the year, and like how you want to finish this strong in whatever way that seems like something you want. And so, yes, we're all kind of thinking about, what are we buying next? What are we going to ask for Christmas, right? What do we want to read before the end of the year? Those kinds of things. This is a great list. I think. I hope you do too. And I can't wait to get to some of these and hear if you all do get to them or you've already perhaps read them. So let me know that as well. Thanks for all of your support, your patience with me as I was out sick, for your comments, for your recommendations, for your just everything that you do. You are truly my friends, and I appreciate each and every one of you. And for those of you who are new, thank you for subscribing. I can't wait to get to know you better as well. And I'm certainly glad you're here. Invite your friends if you'd like to do that too. I also want to be sure to say, if you don't want to leave a comment in the place below this video, that's fine, but you could leave a little emoji. So perhaps you could leave an emoji that has something to do with New Year's Eve. So it could be a little goblet of champagne or something to do with snow, since we've gone to Budapest and all these places, or perhaps something just that, made you think of that emoji when you were listening to these books. Whatever works for you, I'd love to see those comments because they always make me happy. I love emojis. I just think they're the best way to communicate something that we mean without having to use words. So there you go. All right, guys, thanks again so much for watching today. And as always, happy reading. Bye.